What's up, y'all? This is comedian Nima Williams, and we've been doing quarantine confessions because it's kind of like being in prison when you're in solitary confinement. You got a lot of time to think and come to terms with certain shit about yourself. And normally I was talking about prison during quarantine confessions, but today we're going to talk about me, myself, my career. It's no secret to a lot of people that I'm not quite on that level that I should be. I mean, to a point where I've had celebrities come up to me and be like, "Yo, man, what happened?" And I'm not gonna make no excuses about my life, my career. I got really sick for a while. I didn't walk for almost a year. I'm not somebody to put all my stuff out there constantly and beg for attention and sympathy. So people don't really know how sick I was, but I was extremely sick. It took me 3 years to get back over it. If you take 3 years away from comedy, it's going to have effect. And then on top of that, my son was born. I knew there was something different about him, but I couldn't quite come to terms with what it was, so I was in a degree of denial. My son is on the spectrum. He's autistic, and love him to death, and everything about him is wonderful and perfect. But it's been a lot. It's been a lot of stuff, and I don't regret anything that I've done. I've never been an asshole to nobody. There's not a person out there in the comedy world that can say I've done something wrong to them. Now, I've done some stuff in my career that was stupid as fuck, so maybe I can tell people what not to do in their careers. I got too much too soon. I was 8 months out of prison, and I was already on Comic View, doing a DVD with Cedric, touring with people that I didn't even deserve necessarily because I didn't put the time and the work in to get. I got too much too early, and it wasn't that I had a big head. It's that I was afraid to bomb. So I stopped going out and doing the work. I was afraid to bomb. There was too much expectation for me. I already had TV credits, and I only had 10 minutes. But I did a lot of real stupid stuff in my career, like things that didn't make any sense to people because they didn't understand what was going on in my head. They didn't understand how fucked up prison fucked my head up. And then on top of that, my previous life before that, my father was a sick man who did horrible things to his children, and it was growing up a single mother in East Oakland, not really being respected by either side, white or black. A lot of confusion took place. And, to deal with that, I started drinking like crazy. So I was turned into a full-fledged alcoholic, which I kept pretty quiet from people. But I'm going to start telling a couple small stories about some of the dumbest shit I did in comedy to help fuck up my career. I want to start off by one of the dumbest things I ever did. And I would like to preface it by saying, Chris Spencer, I'm sorry. Bentley Evans, I'm sorry. Anybody who was in the room for this, I'm sorry. Jamie Foxx, was sorry for Jamie Foxx too, man. Y'all been cool to me. He had a sketch show coming out called D's Nuts, and I was auditioning for it. And they called me back for a third and final audition, but I didn't know if I was really gonna get there. And I knew that sometimes they have to audition a certain amount of people just to feel like they're quota to make sure they've been fair to people. So I went up to Chris Spencer and I said, "Chris, do I really have a shot at getting this show? Because I got a college in Miami, and back then colleges were paying a lot more, and I needed that money." I said, "Man, do I really have a real shot at getting this TV show?" Chris said, "Yeah, man, they like you." I said, "Cool." So I show up on the third and final audition for it, third and final callback. A lot of celebrities in the room. Everyone's acting like everybody in that room is about to be on the show. So there's one dude who was on Mad TV, one of the white dudes from Mad TV. He showed up there, and I saw him doing a contract. So he already had a contract signed to be on the show. And in my mind, I thought, they're just having me here because they're playing me. So I started to get angry because I got this horrible temper that has held me back so much in my life. I try to stay away from people because I'm afraid of my own temper, which I have found some Buddhist blessings behind and try to become more zen about all this. So I got really pissed off before I went into the audition. I go into the audition, and Johnny Mac is there, Chris Spencer's there, Bentley Evans is there, a bunch of producers are there, and I start doing my audition, my characters, and I'm watching them, and nobody is paying attention to me. They're all on the phone, they're all just doing all kinds of nonsense, talking amongst each other. Nobody was watching me and paying attention to me. So I started to get really pissed off in my head. So then I said, for my final impression, I'm gonna do Eminem. And I saw them get really excited, like, yo, this might be what we're looking for the show. But I was already too pissed to even do an Eminem impression. So instead, I said, "Fuck all you bitches," and turn around and moon them. Showed them my whole ass. And even Chris Spencer later said, "Man, we thought you were joking until you walked out the door saying, 'Fuck y'all' again." So I mooned the whole camp, the whole Jamie Foxx group, said fuck them, and walked out the door. And that shit hurt me for a long time. I was blackballed slightly from it, And, you know, you thought I would have learned my lesson from that, but I didn't. I kept doing dumbass, stupid, drunk shit. And the crazy part about me is most people look at my white skin and they think I've had some degree of privilege. You know, first of all, I wasn't even born in America. I was born, well, in Japan, but I lived in Nepal, Kathmandu, Nepal, in a third world country in a mud house. We lived in a mud house until I was probably about 5 years old. Came to America with my Tibetan stepfather because my real stepfather had left a long time ago. Father left me, then the stepfather left too because he didn't like America. He didn't like the racism. So now it's my mother raising us. So then we have no place to go. We end up in East Oakland. Again, all kinds of weird stuff going on in my head through my childhood. And I was locked up by 17 years old. So I grew up in prison. Not a lot of white privilege happened in my life. And I've never even tried to embark on that white privilege. I never wanted it. I tried to be down with the people who I grew up with, who I felt most comfortable with. And that's black culture. But, you know, I still get kicked in the face. You know, I go look at an old episode of me on Bad Boys of Comedy, all kind of culture vulture. He trying to be black. It's just fucking annoying. And I'm going to say one last thing, man. A lot of comics out there, as I started to get less in my life, it kind of turned on me, man. I mean, I'm going to be real with you. Weren't real with me. Didn't really, like, reach out for me. Didn't really give a fuck. See him in clubs doing shows. Actually, I don't know who the fuck I am. And I've helped a lot of people out early in my career because I was just that dude. Again, nobody can say shit bad about me, and I'm not complaining. I'm just kind of getting some shit off my chest because this is Quarantine Confessions. Y'all can count me out if you want, man, but I'll tell you one thing. Nobody on this planet can say I'm not funny and I'm not a good dude and I don't have a lot of heart. And count me out if you want to, man. I'm going to come back real strong on your bitch ass. Boom! Peace.